All right, we're back. How is everybody doing this evening? I hope everybody's having a good time and everybody's health is well. Okay, we're at 38 Stitches Part 3. All right, and let's get right into this week's finale horror story. When we last saw our guy Dwayne, he was coming up the stairs. I mean, he was on the fourth floor, but he managed to get up to the seventh floor through the elevator. And he's seeing what he needs to see. He's seeing these people, these bodies. They look like corpses, pretty much. Some are conscious, some are unconscious, some are semi-conscious, and Dwayne is just shocked because now he sees what's going on. These people look like zombies, like mummified zombies that are shaking and barely moving, and the drug has apparently done its job and done its thing with these individuals. So he's looking around because he can see the elevator coming up to his floor with the dinging of each floor that's passing. So Dwayne's looking around for a weapon to fight with. The only thing he can see is a microwave. He can see some kind of oil or some kind of lubricant next to the microwave. He can see these cylinders filled with nitric oxide with vials on them. And he can see linen, but he doesn't think he's going to have enough time to he's looking and at this have enough time to do anything with any of this the things that he's seen. So now he's looking for an exit. The only thing he can see is a window, and remember he's on the seventh floor. So when the door opens, Dwayne freezes and he's as embraces himself to prepare for a fight, to fight for his life. It's not the same elevator door that he came up on. It's the one directly across from the one that he came up on. So Dwayne is feeling pretty good now. So what Dwayne does, he grabs the oil lubricant and he runs over to the elevator that he came out of. And he starts squirting down all the oil in a zigzag pattern, right? Making it really, really, and making puddles of it as much as he can. As far as making puddles, he's making it as slick and as oily as he possibly can. Then he comes back and he sees the linen laid out. So now he's tying those linen pieces together, whether it be blankets, whatever. He's tying them all together. He's going to make a rope or a ladder so that he can rappel down from that window. And now he's looking for an anchor. And what he sees that there's an operating table that's bolted to the floor. So he ties it to the operating table and he tugs on it and he makes sure that all of his knots, because he's tied them in double knots, triple knots, quadruple knots. He's tied them in quint knots. So he's tied them in a lot of knots to make sure that they're secure so he can get out. And so he starts turning on the nitric oxide. And when he does this, he's opened up the valves on the nitrous oxide, and the room is starting to be filled with gas. So Dwayne is looking around to see what else he could possibly use, and he's looking at the people in those wheelchairs that are strapped in the wheelchairs. And one of them speaks to Dwayne, and Dwayne, as Dwayne's checking their faces, he's trying to make sure that they're okay, that they're not alive, or what's going on, if they're alive, if they're conscious, they can be helped or whatnot. And he recognizes one guy, the guy that was downstairs warning him earlier. So he goes to that guy, and that guy says, "Peekaboo, I see you." And Dwayne jumps back, startles Dwayne. And he tells Dwayne, "So I'm glad that you took my advice." And Dwayne said, "Yeah, I didn't let them, only thing that I came here for was some stitches." And he was like, "Yeah, you would have got a lot more. The people that you're looking at in my little circle," the guy's saying with slurred speech, and then it's erratic speech. He said, "These are the people that they've run this experiment and that psychotic drug on. Even me, I'm going to end up just like the rest of these people, and I want some payback." And Dwayne says, "Well, you may not get any payback. There's a killer down there. There's this big guy that's a killer down there, and he's killed everybody on that floor down there." And he tells Dwayne, he says, "Oh, yeah, he killed everybody on this floor too, all the doctors and the orderlies and things like that. He's killed every one of them too." So Dwayne says, "What do you mean?" He said, "Look," he said, "you can see feet and body parts hanging out of that office, and you can see blood splatter on the wall. He didn't attack us because he considers us like a kindred spirit, because the psychotic drug somehow makes like a symbiotic link between us that have taken the drug. And then he starts talking crazy and laughing hysterically again, giggling and whatnot. So Dwayne is like, well, look, you seem like you're pretty cognitive. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to climb down and you better follow me right out. This is your best chance at survival. And he says, survival? I'm not going to survive this. This drug is going to take over me. And I'm going to end up just like everybody else you see around me, just like I just told you a minute ago. So if you can cut me free, and these other two guys will buy you some time. Because that guy, we know he's coming back. He's coming back to this floor. He always kills and comes back. He kills and comes back. He kills and comes back. Dwayne is like, what do you mean? He said, this guy has killed people for them throughout this facility. And each time the program that they have in him makes him come back to the second floor. They'll send somebody out and they'll have him go attack that individual and kill that person. And they've got a body camera on him where they can see his viciousness and his ferocity on what he does to the individual. Like he rips them to shreds and he comes back. So he always comes back to this floor. So we know he's coming back. Dwayne says, well, yeah, he's coming back and he knows how to use the elevator. And he said, and the guy tells Dwayne, yeah, it's part of his programming. And when he comes to you, he ain't going to show you any mercy. So if you will, cut us free and we will fight and buy you some time. Dwayne says, how do I know you want to attack me and help him? The guy tells Dwayne, you just got to take a chance. And he starts giggling. Dwayne's like, oh my God. So I guess I'm going to have to take a chance because the floor is being alerted by the elevator coming up. And then he says, tick tock, you don't have much time. And Dwayne is on the 7th floor. And it's already at the 5th floor. Now it's at the 6th. And so Dwayne takes out his box cutter and he cuts the guy loose and cuts the other guy loose. And then it says 7th floor. And then the guy tells Dwayne, okay, we ready. So he tells Dwayne, you do what you got to do. We're going to buy you some time, but we're not going to make it out of here. And I don't want to be I would never want to be alive in this condition. So the guy stands up with his other two guys that stand up with him, and they start walking towards Dwayne, and Dwayne thinks, oh my God, I just set myself up for failure. And then they split and go around Dwayne, and they go towards the elevator, and the door opens. And you can see those two blades coming out, and he's clanking them together, making that metallic sound. And it's Bone Cutter. Blood all over every blade, blood all over his body. And then he comes out and he makes an aggressive move. And when he does, he slips and falls in the oil that Dwayne had already laid out for him. That was a trap. So he booby trapped it. So he keeps trying to get up, but he can't get up, and he keeps sliding back down and sliding back down. He tries to get up again and he slides back down. Dwayne says, okay, that plan is working. So Bone Cutter gets smart. He takes each blade and he stabs him into the surface, and he drags himself forward trying to get to Dwayne. And when he does, the crazy guy and the two other guys that are with him start attacking and kicking Bone Cutter. They start putting in work on just attacking him and fighting him the best that they can, kicking him and stomping him, trying to buy time. They try to dogpile. When they do that, that's when Bone Cutter grabs them and starts cutting and hacking away at them. He hacks one across the eyes, and he's blinded, and then he sticks the bone saw through that individual's throat and yanks it out through the left side of the body, of the throat. Throws him off, and then the other one's on top of him, so Bone Cutter takes the saws and starts stabbing him as he's on top of him through the back, just stabbing repeatedly, hand over hand, just stabbing him all in his back. And then he rips him apart from side to side, right just above the kidneys. So he's bleeding out. So then the guy that's helping Dwayne says, you better go now, because I don't know how long I can hold him. But he's laughing and fighting and laughing hysterically the whole time and telling him, is that all you got? You can't fight any harder. So he starts cutting into that guy. So Dwayne is in shock at the carnage that Bone Cutter is putting on these people. So then Dwayne runs to the microwave. He throws in his box cutter and he sets the microwave for 30 seconds. He runs to the window. He grabs a hold of his makeshift ladder. And as he does this, Bone Cutter is standing up or on using those dead bodies to walk across. So he stands up, Dwayne jumps right out the window, and he starts rappelling. 7th floor, 6th floor, and the clock on the microwave is ticking down. 5th floor, 4th floor, and boom, there's a huge explosion. Dwayne drops a little bit, staggers, hands slip, and the explosion rocks him, and it burns his makeshift ladder, and he falls because he managed to scoot all the way down to the 4th floor and almost to the 3rd floor. So he drops 2 stories, grabbing and holding on to as much as he can because he still has to really rappel with just one hand because of the stitches that he received. And then he falls completely down, pow, right to the ground. And he backpedals with the wind knocked out of him. You can see paper and things like that burning, falling down beside him, linen falling down beside him. And then he can see Bone Cutter running and jump out the window. And there's one more final, trying to jump out the window, there's one more final explosion, and the explosion blows him out the rest of the way out the window. And the 2 blades that Bone Cutter has fall right next to the side of Dwayne's body. And you can see Bone Cutter's body flying across on fire, and it lands about 100 yards from Dwayne. Dwayne is on his back flat looking up at the sky, and it's dark, and he can see the stars, and in the distance you can hear ambulances or sirens. Sounds like ambulances, fire trucks, police officers. And Dwayne looks at the sky, and he says one thing: all of this for 38 stitches. Gotta be kidding me. And then he looks to his right, and he can see the cavalry coming in to save him. But only him. Nobody else survived that ordeal. Now he's going to try to have to explain everything that happened. He doesn't know how he's going to do it, but he's just grateful to be alive. So that's been our story, our weekly horror story, entitled 38 Stitches, Part 3. You guys tell me what you think about the stories, okay? Like, share, comment, subscribe. If you feel like you want to donate, my Cash App is $outrage95. All right? Put a lot of hard work out there. I do have published work on Amazon, Kindle, Book, Barnes and Nobles. I think Books A Million if they're still around. Ingram, Kindle, and Nook. So, feel free to leave a comment. And all comments and support is appreciated. It helps me grow the channel and keep things going. And like I said, it's just a hobby. This part is just a hobby to give you guys some activity and some extra entertainment, because I know entertainment is hard to come by out there. And hey, support hard work. And these stories are original stories and copyrighted. So, with that being said, this is L.A. Kendrick from the House of Havoc, the Crib of Chaos. Check your closets. Check the dark recesses of your room. Check under your beds. And if you happen to work at night, check your surroundings when you go outside. Check under your car, because you never know what's waiting in the dark to make you a story. This has been L.A. Kendrick, bringing you the heavy.